Hey, baseball fans. This is Phil DiGristina. I'd like to meet Carlos Pinta.
Hi, everybody.
And this is Ron Gasparino, and we're going to talk baseball. Just so you know, we're not experts. We're like fans just like you, but we have things that we want to talk about. And today, we're going to talk about the designated hitter.
Boo!
Yeah. There's a lot of controversy, and there's a lot of pros and cons, but we're going to talk about it. And just before we go into our conversation, we'd like you to let us know what you think about the topics that we talk about, and also give us some ideas of what you'd like us to talk about. So with that, let's start off with Carlos and the DH.
All right, this is my opinion. I'm all in favor of the DH, and this is why. Like in football, defense wins Super Bowls. In baseball, good pitching is always better than bad. And the DH basically is protecting the pitcher. If the pitcher has to bat and has to go run the bases, he might get hurt, and this is the man that's going to win the game for you. So I think this is a good thing for baseball.
Okay. All right, Ron. Let him have
Why don't we start giving trophies to all the players? We bat everybody that sits on the bench, and we turn it into Little League baseball. Because that's not the way the game was originated. That's not the way it should be played. You have 9 men on a field. The pitcher is a player. And let me tell you something. Without even mentioning, how about the strategies that are now eliminated from the game? No more bunting, no more sacrificing. You have guys that should have been out of the league 5 years ago that still get an opportunity to play. Example, a guy like Dave Kingman, he had a long life in baseball, 16 years. Could he have won another 2 or 3 years? He had 440 plus home runs. Could he have made the 500 mark? There are lots of guys that were eliminated from baseball and that should stay eliminated from baseball.
Very good, Ron.
Okay,
Very good.
that works. My opinion, if I'm allowed to say an opinion, I don't like the DH for a lot of reasons, and one of them has to do with skewing the records, like Ron talked about. You got a situation where you've got guys in the Hall of Fame right now, for example. Let's take Dave Ortiz, for example. He was basically a DH for the Red Sox. He hit over 500 home runs. He's in the Hall of Fame now, but I'm wondering, where would he have been if it wasn't for the DH? He couldn't play the field anymore. He even admitted it that he couldn't do it anymore. So, in that respect, the DH did a lot of good for him because obviously he's in Cooperstown. I did a little homework on the batting averages for the American League versus the National League, and from 1973, when the American League adopted the designated hitter. If you look at every year through 73 right down to 2021, the American League is slightly ahead of the National League in league batting average. The only season it didn't happen was in 2020, but that was because of the pandemic and everything was kind of fouled up there. So when I talk about the increase in batting averages, it's minuscule, really. I know the three of us have talked about the fact that the fans want to see runs, they want to see home runs, they want to see people on base and all that. But I know, Carlos, that's one of your the things that you like. Ron and I like to see a pitcher's duel once in a while, and
I'd rather see a 1-0 game than a 10-9 game.
Yeah, well, and that brings us to the point where, because of the DH. And because of all the things that go on with the pitching staffs, we rarely see a complete game anymore.
6 innings and you're a hero today.
Yeah.
Well, when you said that you'd rather see a game that is 1-0, that's good pitching. And in order for you to have good pitching, the pitcher needs to be healthy, because good pitching always beat good batting. So
I wish there was a statistic that can show us how many pitchers are taken out of games because of their batting as opposed to their throwing. Pitchers are usually injured in the arm.
Well, yeah, you're right. But batting could hurt you in the arm also.
Well,
Running the bases could hurt you in
Again,
your legs.
statistically, I don't think it's
For example, the
comparison.
Yankees, not too long ago, Yankees had I think it was Korean or Japanese pitcher, that he got hurt. He was one of the best on their pitching staff. And I think he got hurt running the bases, and he was never the same, and he had to retire.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have, looking in that angle, pitching beats good batting. You want to have a healthy pitcher instead of getting hurt, especially when they pay a lot of money.
Well, it's a good point. I think we should look up that statistic.
Yeah,
How
we
many
probably should do
pitchers
that.
were taken out of games or out of their careers due to their batting as opposed to throwing.
Well, baseball as a sport is unique in many ways because, first of all, way back when, the American League and the National League didn't play one another. The only time you would see them play each other was, like we were talking about, in the All-Star game and in the World Series. And that's what made it unique from any other sport. The other thing about baseball was the fact that there was no game clock involved. And now we're getting off our subject a little bit, but we're talking about the time limitation on pitches, which I think is going to hurt the game as well.
That's wrong. To me,
Yeah.
you cannot put a clock on a pitcher. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. So from that perspective, baseball to me is not what it used to be. And the DH now going into the National League, starting with the 2022 season, basically eliminates managerial strategy. Ron, you were talking about that before.
Catchers don't call games anymore. There might be one or two in the entire league that has the opportunity or privilege, let's call it, to call their own game. Now they have the sleeve, what they fold it over. There's different pitches on it. Each bat is statistic. They know what pitch to throw to the bat. They look over. They get their instructions from the bench. Back in the day, and I hate to use that because that puts an age on me also, but back in the day, catchers had to be the smartest player on the team.
Absolutely.
They had to know what every batter's stronghold was and whatever his weaknesses were. Today, they don't need to know anything. They just look over at the bench.
Yeah.
Speaking of bench, Johnny Bench, great catcher, called the games.
He called the game.
Thurman Munster for the Yankees.
Yogi Berra,
Exactly.
another
Well, I'd
catcher.
like to know how far back did managers take over that duty? In the 90s?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking the
I would think
90s.
probably, which is about 30 years ago.
Yeah, I think Carlton Fisk called the games too. He was a great catcher. So it was probably maybe the last 10 years or so, in my opinion, where they started to change.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you think about the designated hitter, and if you have any remedies that would cure it. Right now, with the DH now in Major League Baseball, including both leagues, it's going to be curious to see what managers' roles are.
Well, this is the 50th year with the DH, and I'd like to know what the statistics are over that period. How many more runs do we average per game? And what is really the difference between having a DH and not having a DH?
Yeah.
I think the offensive productivity of the American League has shown that it's way more than, not way more, but more than the National League. And that's just because of the DH. Now, in some instances, it might not be that way, but that's what the stats say.
I don't watch much American League Baseball, only because I'm a Mets fan. And a National League fan until this year, and now I'm a little confused. But I think in all the American League games I've seen over the last half a dozen years, I can't remember seeing a bunt by whether it was a field player or a pitcher. I just can't remember seeing a bunt. I don't see the bunt and run anymore. I don't see hit and runs anymore. There are a lot of things that are part of baseball that have been eliminated. And again, I think we need to eliminate the DH.
Yeah, I agree. I think the DH is hurting the game. Being a Yankee fan, I was always hoping that Brett Gardner would be the guy that would spur the rallies, but he doesn't bunt the ball either. I mean, this guy had a lot of speed. He still has a lot of speed.
Yeah.
But he doesn't utilize that speed the way he should, and that has a lot to do.
And again, it's a good point, because I wonder if that makes a team dependent on the DH. I don't need to bunt. I could swing away. I could up my average, up my salary next year.
Sure, yeah.
I wonder if that has a factor in it.
Could have a lot to do with it. I guess, like I said, we hope to hear from you and all of you out there, and let us know what you think. I want to switch the topic, if I could, for a minute. I want to know what you guys think about interleague play, which began in 1997 season. What is interleague play, and how does it affect, again, the statistics of baseball? Does it spew everything, or is it a good thing?
I think from a fan's point of view, it's good because you get to see a match between a team that you might not get a chance to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like maybe the Mets against the Yankees.
Yeah.
And you get to see players that you don't get to see if you're in the American League often. And then you get a chance to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's good for baseball. But then again, on the record, on the run for the wins, it might be tough for some things because you might be running for first place in your division, and you may be playing a tough team on one of the best teams in the National League, and that might not be fair for your record.
Well, we were talking earlier about that, about setting up the pitching staff's rotation, and I think that hurts the pitching staff's rotation more than it helps.
Exactly.
As far as the interleague play,
For the fan base, for the fans, I think it's better. It's good.
well, you got the Phillies and the Baltimore Orioles in
Yeah.
close proximity there.
There are a lot of rivalries. I agree with Carlos. I kind of like it. There are a lot of rivalries that we waited an entire season. Mets, Yankees, Dodgers, Giants, Dodgers.
Yeah.
The Subway
50,
Series.
60, 70 years ago that we had to wait for.
Yeah.
Now we're fortunate enough to get that every season.
Yeah.
So I'm in favor of the interleague play.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little still on the fence about it, but I can see your point. California Angels and the Dodgers,
Right,
for example.
exactly.
Now they have that rivalry, and San Francisco and Oakland.
The Marlins and the Tampa Bay Rays. It's another.
Yeah, it's another rivalry.
Yeah.
Geographical rivalries, which I think are probably.
And the fan gets to see a player that you don't get to see every day.
Now, up until this year when the National League adopted the DH, then I saw a difference. Because you had a pitcher who was used to batting, you had an offense that was used to running various plays, bunting, sacrificing. Now, if they were playing in an American League ballpark, they didn't have the opportunity to do that, and they had to have a DH.
That's right.
Yeah.
I wasn't in favor of it until this year.
And that also affected the World Series. As
Oh,
well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, I think we've all kind of agreed that it's probably a good thing. I'm not so sure that I'm that convinced.
Yet.
But I think as time goes on, I may fall into line with it.
No, I don't think I'll ever fall in line with liking the DH. It's just
No,
not
the
baseball.
DH, no. DH is out.
Yeah, it's just not baseball.
It's not good for baseball.
Adna Doubleday right now is rolling over in his
I'm
grave.
sure he is. He's probably wishing he invented basketball. But, so let's take another look at a couple of things that we had here. I think we've covered quite a bit. Again, hit the like button. Give us your comments. Let us know what you think about what we're doing. Again, we're not the experts here, but we like to talk baseball. We talk baseball all the time, even off camera. So it's just something that we do. So
Yeah, if you have any particular topics that you want us
Yeah.
to touch base on,
Any suggestions that you have on the topic?
please,
Just let us know.
write them in, let us know.
absolutely.
Next week, we're talking about ping pong. No, just joking, guys.
So anyhow, yeah, we'll let you know what we're going to do next. Well, actually, we'll definitely start the show with our next topic, and hopefully that topic comes from you. So let us know again. So
What were we thinking about for next week's topic? We had a
gosh,
few.
trying to think of what we've talked about so many things. We talked about the Hall of Fame last week.
Salaries.
Yeah, and salaries.
Did they ruin the game?
Well, you know what? That's a good thing. Maybe we should talk more about Kirk Flood. People especially the players today, don't even know who Kurt Flood was. But they should thank Kurt Flood because he stood up for himself. It cost him his career, basically. But without Kurt Flood, baseball players today would not be making the salaries that they're making. Great example is, and we talked about this as well, Mickey Mantle during his entire career made about $2 million. Now you got guys sitting on the bench that are making $18 million a year. So thank you, Kurt Flood, for
Babe Ruth's original contract was for $600.
yeah.
$600 for the Babe.
And he said one year that when he signed a contract for $80,000, he says, "You're now making more than the president." He says, "Well, I had a better year than the president."
That's right,
So-
that's right.
So things have changed. Certainly, things have changed. We were talking off camera about the steroid situation in Major League Baseball, and we wanted to cover that a little bit right now. We might actually talk more about it next time, but for now, we're just going to do some surface work. We were talking about Barry Bonds and his numbers and how they are been enhanced because of the steroid use. Let's talk about that.
Oh, it's just more than Bonds. You have McGuire, and lots from Sosa.
Canseco?
Canseco, yeah. I feel bad for the players that were clean that had to go up against these guys. I can think of quite a few players that had really good stats, but decided not to get into the steroids, even though it might have enhanced their
You know,
careers.
there's a truth about steroids is it isn't going to make you hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball if you're not a 100-mile-an-hour fastball hitter. Steroids will allow you to practice longer and heal quicker,
Yeah.
but it's not going to take somebody that's not a ball player and make them a ball player.
Well,
So that's a misconception about steroids.
I think it's going to give you more of a bulk when it comes to muscle. It's going to enhance your body. That way, when you make contact, that ball's going to go farther.
Yeah, but if you took the Hulk and put him on a diamond and tell him
Yeah,
to head
you
up
got-
and back, he's not
Well,
going to hit the ball.
You have to have the ability to hit the
Exactly.
baseball, for sure.
So the
But if-
steroids isn't going to give you that ability.
But if you have the ability already and you give the more power to that ability,
Of course.
that ball is going to go out of the stadium.
Of course. But primarily, from what I've read and know about steroids, what it's there to do is to allow you to work out longer and heal quicker.
Yeah. Well, you know, the hardest thing in sports is to hit a round ball with a round bat. And the coordination situation there, I think, improves as far as the reaction time is concerned. I think it improves the reaction time. Other than that, I'm not sure exactly what else could
You know, there
happen.
were several players that, you know, the old term guilt by association. Keith Hernandez is one of my favorite players, and he's a .298 lifetime hitter, dozen Gold Gloves, never get into the Hall of Fame. Supposedly he was involved with use of cocaine, and that was guilt by association. His friendships with Strawberry and Doc Gooden and a couple of the other Met players at that time. Did he do it? I don't know. He never admitted it. So, but there are a lot of players who did a lot of things that didn't admit it either.
They just got caught, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that report? The Mitchell report, wasn't it? Where they wrote down all the names of all the players that were involved with steroids and.
I don't remember the name of it, but I know what you're talking
Yeah, I
about.
think it was, yeah, and there was quite a few people in that book. But the sad part about it was the only people whose names came to the surface were the really good ball players. Whereas the average guy, the guy just trying to make it in the major league so he can retire after 10 seasons with a pension, they're not mentioned, even though they're in the book. And I'd be curious to see who these other people were.
The no-name users.
The no-name users, that's a good terminology. So, yeah, that's something we'll dwell more into.
Yes.
And I also want to look at some of the good ball players that played during that era that were clean ball players that had to really step up their game to compete against the steroid users, especially the hitters that were dealing with steroid pitchers. I know we talked about how how you can't make you a great ball player unless you're a good ball player to begin with. But pitchers, if you're taking steroids on a regular basis, is your 95 mile an hour fastball now going to become a 100 mile an hour fastball?
That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
Before, when I said, when you take steroids, you're going to take it to have more power, whether pitching or batting.
Well,
it's just power.
My opinion is if you could throw it at 120 miles an hour, but you can't throw it over the plate, that doesn't make you a great pitcher.
Yeah.
But to a pitcher, I know what you're
You
saying.
still got to throw strikes.
You want to impress with your power. When that speed gun says 101, 100, oh my God, that's power, and that's what they want. Yes, you have to have control, of course, but power. You take steroids because you want more power, basically.
Okay. So, what do you think? We'll hit that topic in
Well,
detail.
we'll leave it up to the viewers.
Yeah.
Tell us what you want to talk about.
Sure.
We'll be glad to attempt it.
Attempt is right. So take care, guys. We will see you next time. For Ron,
Carlos,
myself, and Brian behind the camera. See you next time.
Go Mets.
Go Yankees.
Yankees.